When it comes to technology, Audi is often considered to be a pioneer in the luxury space. However, when you look at full electrification, this is where Volkswagen's luxury division Audi was really starting to lag behind, especially when you look at EV startup rivals like Tesla, Rivian, and Lucid. However, for 2025, the company was ready to finally take the segment seriously with the introduction of an all-new platform called PPE, which stands for Premium Platform Electric. We first got our taste of that architecture when we tested out the all-new Q6 e-tron earlier this year. However, for 2025, Audi is expanding the portfolio with this model. This is the first ever 2025 Audi A6 e-tron. It's also built off of the brand new PPE architecture, which means it offers nearly 400 miles of range on a full charge, an 800-volt architecture, which means this charges about twice as fast as most of its rivals. And for you enthusiasts out there, Audi continues to offer a choice between the mild A6 and the high-performance S6, which we'll test out later on in the video. So today we're actually back out here in Newport Beach, California, because we're finally able to drive the all-new A6 and S6 e-tron. And the big question I went answered, has Audi finally delivered a premium electric sportback sedan that can truly go toe-to-toe with its rivals? Stay tuned to find out. So Audi has been playing in the all-electric space for a few years. They first dipped their toes when they introduced the all-new e-tron SUV back in 2019. It was a decent first effort. However, when it came to being an electric vehicle, it really didn't offer the range or the charging speed that most buyers were looking for. Now, before we start talking about the exterior styling of this vehicle, I want to talk about what's going on underneath the hood. Now, as you can see, the hood is actually already popped open, and that's because we actually opened it from underneath the hood area or underneath the driver's seat area via the latch. However, Audi also offers a function where you can keep the key fob on you. You can basically wave your hand over the Audi logo, and that will actually allow the front hood area to open up electronically, which is a nice little feature. A lot of companies like Tesla actually already offer that from the factory, so it's nice to see Audi doing so. But since we're underneath here, let's go ahead and pop the hood here and talk about the front trunk storage space, because when Audi, I believe, first introduced their electric vehicles, they actually didn't have a front trunk storage space. Now, on this new PPE architecture, you do have a relatively small frunk. It measures around 1 cubic feet of storage space, which is enough to basically house the cables or whatever item you want to put in here that you don't actually want to put inside the cabin, because this is a Sportback in its design. But let's go ahead and talk about the powertrain specs, because here in America, all A6 e-trons will launch with a 100 kilowatt hour lithium-ion battery pack. And that's actually different versus other markets which offer an NMC battery pack. I'm not entirely sure why Audi uses a different chemistry, but they decided to do so here in America. And here in the US, they're going to offer the A6 and S6 with dual motor configurations, or you can also get the A6 with a single motor rear wheel drive application, which I believe is the first time Audi is offering a rear drive sedan in America in God knows how many years. But this model here that we're showing you is the dual motor all-wheel drive version, which means you have an electric motor in the front and the rear, giving you an electronic quattro all-wheel drive system. Power figure is 422 horsepower, or up to 456 when you guys engage the launch control. If you guys go for a rear-wheel drive version, it drops the power to around 362 or 375 when you engage the launch control. Audi technically doesn't quote the torque figure, and that's because the electric motors in the front and the rear basically reach their peak torque at different levels. So Audi says you technically can't combine them. If you did, it would have around 630-ish pound-feet of torque, which is pretty strong. It all goes out through a 1-speed reduction gear transmission, and Audi claims this model, the Quattro, when you engage the launch control, should be good for 0 to 60 in around 4.3 seconds, while reaching a top speed of around 130 miles an hour. Now, the battery pack, like I said, 100 kilowatt hours, but 94.4 is usable. And with the Quattro all-wheel drive and without the Ultra package, I'll talk about that when we go around the walk around, this model offers around 333 miles of range, which is a pretty good figure. But if you guys go for a single motor rear wheel drive with the Ultra, you can get up to 392 miles of range. Now, curb weight, Audi actually didn't have the final figure. However, I would estimate this model is probably around 5,000-ish pounds. The S6 is going to be a little bit heavier. Audi does not rate this vehicle to tow like they do in other markets in Europe. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the exterior styling for the vehicle. As you can see, this is the Prestige package, so it's the top of the line model. It's painted in a color that we've seen before on Audi products. It's called Plasma Blue. It's an extra $595 extra. And as you can see from the design, if you've watched our review on the new Q6 e-tron, there's a couple of familiar elements here. First of all, the vehicle is low and wide, which is good. It's actually built off of the old A6 e-tron concept that they showed back in 2021. And a lot of this traditional Audi styling elements are here. You have the company's corporate single frame grille, which is technically closed off with the new Audi logo, which is white outlined. You can see the headlights. These are their full LEDs, where you can get an OLED LED on certain models. You can see the daytime running light and the turn signal is actually divorced from the headlights themselves. So this little LED portion is actually interchangeable, where you can pick between 8 different light signatures. You can actually choose that in the dash. The sequential turn signals are also dynamic. And then down here you can see is actually the headlight. It's an LED low and high beam. This model also includes headlight washers, and you also have all weather lights that basically functions as a fog light. Down here you can see this black area certainly almost makes the headlights appear invisible, which is good. Although I have to say, I wasn't really a fan of this design on the Q6. Let me know in the comment section below. The regular A6, the gas-powered model, which has also been redesigned, technically has a different front fascia, and I kind of prefer that. But as you can see, you've got full paint finish on the rest of the lower portions, a lot of actual air intakes because this vehicle has incredible aerodynamics. Audi claims it has a 0.23 coefficient of drag, which is again going to help with the efficiency. That's always a big thing with EVs, is efficiency when it comes to slipping through the air. And then as you can see, you have integrated parking sensors, a front camera system, and overall in the plasma blue, the exterior color certainly is better versus like a typical gray that Audi shows, but I also find the design to be a little bit generic in the front end. A lot of manufacturers are going with the divorced split headlight look, and I just would have preferred Audi to not go with that. But again, it's only on this model here, the regular A6. The gas-powered model will not have this front fascia design. Now moving around the side profile, you can see being built on the PPE architecture, which stands for Premium Platform Electric. It allowed Audi to basically start from a clean slate. It has a wheelbase that's 116 inches long with an overall length of 194.4. So technically, this has around an inch longer wheelbase versus the gas-powered A6, but its overall length is going to be around 2.5 inches shorter. So I'm actually surprised. This is, again, a mid-sized vehicle that competes with cars like the EQE from Mercedes, the BMW i5, a Tesla Model S is also around the same size. You can see the wheels. Our particular test car has the upgraded 20-inch alloy wheels, or actually technically these are the standard wheels. Audi for $800 extra will sell you an Ultra package, which will shrink the wheels down to a 19-inch wheel and also narrow out the tire by about 10 millimeters to again improve the aerodynamics. These 20-inch wheels, I'm not really the biggest fan, but they certainly have a more aerodynamic finish to them. You have all disc brakes, and if you guys go for the Prestige model, you'll get adaptive air suspension, which has the ability to lower the vehicle up and down around 40 millimeters or around 1.6 inches. No rear wheel steering on this model, but I love the full paint finish of the car, and the brakes certainly look nice, although it would be nice if they were actually painted. Again, if you want a painted brake caliper, you can go for the S6 model, which will show you guys a little bit of a walk around as well later on in the video. You can see the mirrors, body color, they are power folding with integrated turn signals, full 360 camera throughout. You have some chrome along the belt line here, which Audi actually doesn't offer a black optics package on the A6 like they do on the S6. This panoramic roof also has a variable light function where you can essentially create like a digital curtain where it actually will turn the roof opaque or transparent depending on a button you can push. You can also do different levels of that via a control panel in the roof panel, which is actually a really great feature. And then as you can see on this side here, you're going to find an electronic charge port door. Now, as you can see, it opens up with power, and on this side, it only has a J1772 outlet. This allows for AC charging. On the other side, however, this is where Audi again is, great how they offer two combinations here. If you push that, that will open it up to reveal the DC fast charger, which it's not letting me open right now because the other side is open. You can technically only open one side, but because this runs on the 800 volt architecture, this vehicle will accept up to 270 kilowatts on a fast charger, which means you can go from 10 to 80% in around 21 minutes. That's around 10 minutes faster versus most of its rivals. On a level 2, it has a 9.6 kilowatt onboard charger. It'll take roughly 12 hours to charge this vehicle from empty to full, so it's a little bit slower there. I was hoping Audi would have introduced like a 20 kilowatt onboard charger, but hopefully something they'll do later on. Now, looking at the rest of the rear design, you can see this is where I think Audi got the look of this car a little bit better from back here. I love the Sportback design. I also love the full-length LED light taillights back here, which has that trendy light bar. The turn signals, you can see this reminds me a little bit of the e-tron GT, just a slightly different design. You have sequential dynamic turn signals, available OLED taillights only on the S6. Where you can also change the light signature back here. And then this is the first Audi product to have the illuminated Audi rings back here. It actually looks really good with the light bar. It just kind of gives it a very distinctive profile. You can get a deck lid spoiler. I believe that's only on the S6. There is a Quattro badge here, of course, to let you know you have all-wheel drive, along with the very small blacked out A6 badge back here. And then the rear bumper, as you can see, looks a little bit more aggressive. There is no S-Line package available, but I believe this car already comes with the S-Line package, although Audi didn't, again, mention that. But overall, I really think the look of this car is a lot cleaner and it's a lot more sophisticated. At least it looks more like an Audi for me versus the front of the car. Now, in terms of the cargo area, this is where the A6 also has an edge over its rivals from Germany, at least. You can see it's a liftback, even though it looks like a traditional sedan. And when you look at the cargo figures, it's very SUV-like with around 25.9 cubic feet of storage space with the back seats up. You can see there's 2 storage cubbies to the side of the actual cargo area. There's a nicely finished cargo floor. And then if you look underneath here, there's also a relatively useful storage area. This is the mobile charger that it comes with. It also looks like it comes with a cargo net and tools to remove the wheels, although it didn't mention any kind of spare tire. If you want to fold down the seats back here, which I'll do that from this side, even though I probably should have done it from the other side. You can see, pull that down, you can see that will expand the cargo capacity to around 39.9 cubic feet of space with a 40-20-40 arrangement. That actually makes it almost as practical as a lot of compact SUVs. Keep in mind, other competitors like the EQE or the BMW i5 are traditional sedans and offer roughly half the cubic feet of cargo space. So this is another reason, again, to choose this over an SUV, especially if you wouldn't be caught dead driving a sport utility vehicle. Now moving on to the interior of the all-new Audi A6 e-tron. As you can see, the plasma blue exterior color of this particular one is complemented nicely by this pearl beige premium Napa leather interior. This is also part of the warm weather package. As you can see, there's perforations in the seats because these seats are also heated and ventilated. Sadly, no massage function, but the driver does get a two-way memory function. The seats, I believe, adjust in 14 different ways. You also have an adjustable thigh extender that's manual on both the driver and the passenger seat, along with 4-way lumbar support. I love the fact that Audi is finally expanding the availability of ventilated seats. That's something that typically they've only offered in like a black interior, so it's nice to see it here in this pearl beige with the plasma blue exterior color. Now, in terms of the door panel materials, I'm going to show you guys that really quick. You can see this is where Audi has been criticized for cost cutting a little bit here. This particular model, being their C segment car, has a soft touch injection molded plastic up here, but I have to say the graining could be a little bit nicer. I also would have loved to see this stitched in leather. You do have some real matte finish wood here with some ambient interior lighting. The leather with the pearl beige finish is over here. You have an aluminum accented door handle, some piano black trim. Some of the plastics, I will say, do feel a little bit chintzy. At least the window controls there, one touch off down for all 4. They also have a high quality feel. There's also this new touch sensitive panel here that allows you to power fold the mirrors, control the headlights. They've actually moved out here. Your memory seat controls are also over here, along with your child lock function. Down here it is all hard touch plastic, of course, with additional storage space, but overall it certainly makes a good first impression. Now, getting inside, you can see the interior, because it's a sedan, has that low step-in height, and as I get in and shut the door has a really solid sounding thunk. Now, this is the Prestige trim, which means the Prestige actually comes with a soft close feature for all 4 of the doors. That's something that you didn't get on the Q6 e-tron, so kind of keep that in mind. Audi is again offering a little bit nicer features on the A6 e-tron, which I very much appreciate. You can see here's the key fob for the vehicle. This is Audi's newest corporate intelligent access key fob. It has typical buttons here for unlock, lock. You can also power open the liftgate, and then there's a panic function here. Audi also does offer remote start through their Audi Connected Services app, which is actually included when you buy the vehicle. You do have to pay extra, of course, to get like the 5G LTE and all the upgraded services in the car, but it's nice to see that Audi has finally included remote start. If you're an owner, you can actually access that via the smartphone, not from the key fob itself. Now, looking at the rest of this car, you can see the car actually already turned itself on once I sat in the vehicle and had the key fob in it, so I don't even have to use the start stop button that you find right here. When it's on, it basically just says on and ready in the instrument panel, and then you just put the vehicle into drive, and that's what basically turns the vehicle on. When I put it into reverse there, you can see there's your full 360 camera, which offers trajectory, distance markers, parking sensors, of course, automatic emergency braking. The quality and the resolution is also very good. It's typical Audi stuff where you can actually zoom in on certain quadrants to make sure you're not going to curb those 20-inch wheels. This technology part has always been a kind of a strong suit of Audi. And then, of course, the rest of this cabin here, this is their new digital stage cockpit design. So it's a brand new infotainment system with OLED displays. This model that we're showing you is the Prestige package, which means we have the 10.9-inch passenger display here. So that's technically optional. You have a 14.5-inch display here and an 11.9-inch display here. This runs their latest MMI software. You can see my phone is connected via the wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. The software behind it is very quick and snappy, responsive. It's also relatively easy to use, although Audi did move some critical functions from like hard buttons to into the dash here for the climate control. As you can see, the heated and ventilated seats are now in the dash, but I have to say, for the time that I've had spent with this system, it's actually relatively quick to start up. The CarPlay also worked really nice. You have an augmented reality heads-up display, which also basically allows the vehicle to display information up to 600 feet ahead of you. It's actually one of the most intricate head-up displays with augmented reality that I've tested. So Audi did a great job again, kind of wowing customers who really appreciate tech. The virtual cockpit here for the 11.9-inch display, this is kind of where I think they went backwards. They don't quite have the same kind of adjustability and customization that they had previously in the old system. So I can still kind of go here and change a couple of options here for the way that looks. You can also go into your media sources here, show your navigation or your phone information, but I can't no longer put the map display here, which is something you could do in the previous generation virtual cockpit. I'm not sure why they decided to take that away. But again, when you have the availability of the navigation here, which as you can see, there's the Google Earth displayed, you can also put the navigation here. So it's great how they have two separate areas. That's probably why Audi took it away from here, because they figured you don't need to have navigation in all three of the screens. So this is kind of where the passenger can kind of take over, send GPS information to this screen. Although I still think passenger displays are kind of pointless, at least for me as a driver, that they're really just there to be a gimmicky feature. What's great about the passenger display is you can have access to, of course, the Google Play Store. This runs off of Android Automotive. It has YouTube built in where you can literally go to YouTube web browser. You can pull up your favorite YouTuber, hopefully it's Redline Reviews, and watch your favorite videos. And you can also do the same thing in this screen over here. So this is where, you know, it's an EV. Audi expects you to be kind of sitting in here charging for a little bit. And you can also play video games, which is something that Tesla has offered for years. You can actually play video games with the head-up display as well. So this is, again, one of the best software systems. Audi took their time with this, and it really shows. And to be honest, this is kind of where Audi is showing their strengths here, because they've always been really great when it comes to technology. Now, in terms of the rest of the materials on the dash, you can see this lower portion has leather stitching with contrast stitching. Leather up here, although this is technically a faux stitching. This is a soft touch injection molded plastic. I like the matte finish wood here, which looks great. The dash vents also are the traditional style where you have this toggle or this little joystick that allows you to manipulate where the airflow goes. I like how this is manual as opposed to those electronic vents like you'd find in a Tesla. Down here you can see big storage area, and you have a wireless smartphone holder right here where my iPhone 16 Pro Max fits perfectly there. You've got two USB-C charging ports, a little bit more storage as well. I don't love the piano black plastic trim. You can see it's already showing fingerprints and smudges already, which I don't love. You can see there's an actual volume knob here, and your drive mode selector is here. Audi offers a choice between 4 different modes: balance, dynamic, comfort, and efficiency. And you can also go to an individual setting as well if you want to custom tailor the things. You can see this little tab. You basically push it up to go into reverse, kick it down to go into drive. There's also a B mode to give you maximum regen braking. This is to turn on and off your driver assistance. Push the P button to go into park, of course. Regular or decent sized cup holders, and then the armrest here is nice and padded. If I open this up, you can see offers a good amount of storage in there as well, which actually kind of goes deep in here. So it has a little bit of hidden storage in there, which is kind of nice. Unexpected. This is certainly very usable for covered storage space. And then above me, as you can see, that is the variable light control glass roof, which offers a feature that Audi calls digital curtain. So there's a little button here. If I push that, you can see it actually changes. There's 9 different segments in here that will basically interchange whenever I push a button. I can also just kind of completely make it dark, or I can also kind of add different segments to opaque it or make it transparent. This is good if for example, I don't want to be covered with sun, but the rear passenger does. So you can also do it from the other direction as well. If I want to be engulfed in sun, but the rear passenger does not. So this is a great feature, although it does negate the ability to open up the sunroof here to allow for more air ventilation. I think I personally would rather have that, but this is, again, a cool feature. If you're going to take away my opening panoramic sunroof, at least give us something like this digital light control with the digital curtain. Now the seats, like I mentioned earlier, heated and ventilated. They're comfortable and supportive, especially on longer trips. And the leather also feels pretty high quality. The glove box, as you can see here, is damped and lined with felt. It's a bin style. It offers a decent amount of additional storage in here, which is great. The Bang & Olufsen stereo in this model also has 20 speakers and 800 plus watts of power. Now, technically, 4 of those speakers are actually in the head restraints of this vehicle. And the sound system sounds incredible. If you guys are an audiophile, you're going to want to check that option and go for, I believe, the Premium Plus trims and up, because it's an EV. There's no sounds other than fake sounds, so you're going to want to be listening to a great audio system. But overall, the cabin certainly has the technology, leader that Audi is known for, or at least that technology feel. In terms of luxury, this is where I think BMW got a little bit more with the new i5, but I much prefer this interior versus what Mercedes does in the EQE. It's really just going to come down to your preference, but it certainly is comfortable. It's relatively easy to see out of, and it should impress most of you, especially if you're upgrading from your older A6. But let's go ahead and hop into the backseat area. I can show you guys what that space is like. Now, this vehicle being a Sportback, you can see offers a pretty good amount of space back here. Audi says you have around 35.5 inches of legroom. Now, 35.5 on paper is around a couple inches less versus its German rivals like BMW and Mercedes, but this is not my driving position. The seat actually moved all the way back when I got out of the car, but as you can see at 5'7", there's good foot space. The floor, shockingly, is not completely flat. I don't know why it's not completely flat. You do have heated seats back here along with a third zone climate control. You have rear seat air vents back here along with two storage cubbies and two USB-C charging ports. The headroom space, as you can see, is not great. I mean, this vehicle is a Sportback in its design. It's a little bit taller, but the battery pack basically lives underneath the floor. And while this is the low floor model, it certainly is still compromising the headroom a bit at 5'7". The material quality back here is pretty similar to the front. You have a soft touch injection molded plastic. You have leather down here. No wood back here. Instead, there's just this plastic trim as opposed to the wood like in the front, but you do have some LED lighting, more air vents, of course, back here. And then if you fold this centerpiece down, you can see there is an armrest with two cup holders, and you have easy access to the latch anchors if you guys want to put a child seat back here. But overall, if you guys are planning to use this as a family vehicle, the back seat isn't quite as spacious as its main rival, the BMW or a Tesla Model S, but it certainly is going to be better versus the Audi e-tron GT, which is their other all-electric sedan, which is technically more like a sports car versus a sedan. So Audi claims this Quattro version will do 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds. So let's go ahead and test out their claim. We have it in dynamic mode. We'll go ahead and brake torque it to activate the launch control. Oof. All right, on a almost flat floor, we actually did it in 4.3 seconds there, or 4.43 seconds, I'm sorry, which is pretty bang on with what Audi claims. A little bit slower though, but I do have one extra person. Rob is next to me in the car because, you know, Rob's 500 pounds. He had so much weight and he's old now to basically slow us down, but that's still a very impressive time. Remember, this is not the S model. Now we're going to hop into the S later on and see what we can do in that model. Audi says that model should do it in 3.7 seconds, which I imagine is probably conservative. Lots of smooth power because remember, it's an EV. It's got instantaneous thrust, 4.4 seconds there. That's with it that's with it on completely level ground. So very consistent power. This is going to be fast enough for most people. I mean, if you guys go for the rear wheel drive model, Audi says that model should do it in around 5.2 seconds, which again is pretty fast. That's the thing about this A6 e-tron is Audi claims it has better power and better range than most of its rivals in terms of standard power. Now, we are starting off this video with nearly a full charge, around 97%. It's showing 330 miles of range. Technically, at 100% charge, it was showing around 341, so it's a little bit better than the 333 that Audi claims. Remember, if you guys go for the Ultra package, it'll improve the range numbers to as high as 392, which is excellent. That's almost as good as the current Tesla Model S, which offers up to 410 miles of range. Now, this is a luxury sedan. It's a mid-size luxury sedan. This is where the Audi A6 excels at that because the air suspension gives you a really buttoned, but at the same time, it's a controlled and comfortable ride. It's really quiet in here. There's not much in terms of fake engine or fake powertrain noises, and anytime I put my foot down, it just has all that instant power. So again, this is exactly what you're looking for. And this architecture, when I first had a chance to sample it in the Q6, I was impressed with the way this car kind of goes down the road. The steering in the vehicle, it comes standard with their Audi dynamic steering. So it actually is very quick and direct, not much in terms of feedback still, but this car just kind of changes directions really quickly. So it shows, you know, hints of fire. So I'm looking forward to getting behind the wheel of the S6 model. But, you know, from a comfort perspective, the ride quality is good. The seats are also comfortable. I just kind of wish that Audi would offer their massage feature with this car. And you also have regen braking up to a one-pedal drive. If you put the transmission into its B selection, it actually gives you true one-pedal drive, or it actually will bring you down to a full stop, and it won't allow for any creeping. It'll automatically brake hold. So it's nice how Audi kind of offers that feature, because when they first came out with the original e-tron SUV, they actually didn't offer any kind of one-pedal drive because they claimed that it would have just kind of ruined the driving experience. But it's good that they kind of give buyers the choice. In terms of visibility, you can see out of the front and the side quite nicely. The view out of the back is a little bit obstructed by that sloping rear end. It would be fixed if Audi would just offer a digital camera rearview mirror, but this car is really easy to drive. It doesn't feel big. I love the digital stage cockpit as well because it just kind of engulfs you in screens. And the heads-up display, the augmented reality heads-up display does a great job at just kind of wowing you in terms of tech because you can kind of see everything. And overall, you know, from a driving perspective, the A6 certainly feels like it belongs, you know, or it deserves the Audi badge. But as an enthusiast, I'm definitely more interested to see what the S6 can do. So let's go ahead and hop into that vehicle and see how much quicker and sportier it is to drive. So now we've switched into the S6 e-tron, which offers up to 543 horsepower. Audi claims 3.7 seconds. So let's go ahead and see what we can get compared to the A6 that we just hopped out of. Oof. Oh yes, this feels much faster. 3.78 seconds there. That's with it pretty much on level ground. So around a half a second, a little more than a half a second faster than the regular A6. That's plenty of power. Now it is going to be a little bit slower versus the last BMW i5 that I tested, which was the M60. That technically did it in 3.3 seconds, but the BMW is also a lot more expensive. Sorry, Rob. That's the beauty about EVs, is if you've got passengers that just aren't paying attention, you can literally piss them off by just flooring it when they're not really looking, and they lose their phone, they lose whatever they're holding on to. We're going to try another 0 to 60, just a heads up, Rob.
I'll just leave my phone.
Leave the phone that's hanging on the...
You don't have to film with that later, it's fine. What the fuck? Get a Cybertruck.
Ooh. Oh yes, that feels good. 3.79 seconds there. So it's pretty much right on with Audi's claim of 3.7 seconds. I was hoping it'd be a little bit faster because the Germans tend to be conservative, but remember most likely there's going to be an RS8 or RS6 e-tron at some point. Audi didn't confirm, but they did not deny, but this model has always historically had an RS version, although they could do technically a gas and an electric version. But overall, compared to the A6, since we just hopped out of that into the S6, you can definitely tell this model tries to give you a little bit more performance. It feels a little edgier. I definitely like the steering wheel in this model. It's got a flat bottom and a flat top design. It also has more electric sounds, so it's creating that synthetic sound that is being played through the speakers. And this car it feels a little bit more engaging, even though, again, it's still technically an EV. You don't even need to use the launch control. You just leave everybody in your wake when you put your foot down. So and you do it silently. So that's kind of the whole, beauty about these EVs. Now, in terms of the steering, Audi says that they've upgraded the suspension to be a little sportier. The steering has been retuned. On my short drive with it, it's definitely still, direct, quick, precise. The suspension, I want to say, feels a little bit firmer. I have the car in dynamic mode now, so it's going to give you everything in its firmest setting, but it's at the same time, dynamic mode still gives you a comfortable ride quality, so you don't necessarily need to be, compromised by driving around in a vehicle that's going to be punishing you on your daily commute. Even though this model that we're driving also has bigger 21-inch wheels, it still soaks up the bumps nicely. The seats are also comfortable. They feel a little bit more aggressively bolstered. This red interior also looks nice. At the same time, it still has heated and cooled seats. So that's something that Audi has typically always, shafted. If you didn't get a black interior, you weren't able to get cooled seats. I do kind of wish they would offer massaging seats in this car, but overall, it gives you the same feel as the A6. Instead of just the luxury vibe, it gives you more of a sportier vibe with the Alcantara and the, different steering wheel and the different sounds, and of course the extra acceleration. And even though this model is technically slower versus vehicles like a Tesla Model S, a non-plaid, for example, or a BMW i5 or a Mercedes AMG EQE, I think the price delta and the additional range is going to be nice, because even though this car supposedly has only 302 miles of range, here at 98% state of charge, the battery is showing 329 miles. So that's pretty much the same as what it showed in the A6 e-tron. So it kind of shows you that even though this is rated at less, in the real world...
Unlimited 1.5% cash back is just the beginning.
Wow.
What the
that was really loud.
I'm just trying to go to the fucking homepage. I'm gonna just stop. Sorry, you can redo that. Sorry, I don't know where you were. Even though in real world.
So yeah, in the real world, this thing, even though it's not as fast as some of its rivals, I think in the real world applications, most people are going to be quite happy with the acceleration that the S6 gives you. And I think personally, for the extra, this is an extra $10,000 compared to the A6. It's not really necessary for the speed. I think the aesthetic of this car is probably what I would go for personally. So between the A6 and the S6 e-tron, I definitely much prefer driving the S6. And since we didn't get a chance to show you guys what it looks like, here's the vehicle here in this particular spec. This is a white exterior, which is kind of like a glossy white with some metallic fleck with the black optics package. You technically can't get the black optics package on the regular A6. It already has, of course, the S-Line Sport package with the look. The grille, as you can see, is slightly different. It actually has these really interesting black lines that add some texture into the Audi single frame grille. The headlights are basically the same. Full LEDs, obviously, with the interchangeable LED light signature, up to 8 different types of signatures with the same divorced headlights. The black optics package blacks out this lower portion here, which I actually think doesn't look as good as the non-black optics package because the S models already come with the silver metallic look here, especially along the front fascia. I personally think it looks better, especially with their new blue exterior color that they also showed off. But let me know in the comment section below if you guys like the look of the S6 or the A6 in general. It would be nice if the Audi 4 rings here were illuminated, but sadly that's only on the rear. And then follow me over to the side profile. You can see the S6 e-tron has a different wheel. These are a 21-inch wheel that you get with the black optics package. I love the way these wheels look compared to the wheels that we saw on the A6, along with the red painted, it looks like a 4-piston brake caliper there with enlarged brakes. The air suspension is also adaptive with adaptive dampers. You can also raise and lower the vehicle. It's been retuned, of course, to give us sportier handling dynamics. The steering's also been retuned. Audi didn't talk about the ground clearance, but you can see with the full paint finish, the wheel and tire package is also a little bit wider. These are 245s in the front, a staggered 275 at the back, around 10 millimeters wider versus the wheel and tire package on the A6. Now, as you can see, as with the black optics package as well, you get the blacked out mirrors, the blacked out trim, along with these black accents here for the door handles, which, as you can see, these door handles are electronic. They contribute, of course, to that 0.23 coefficient of drag, along with the panoramic glass roof, which has that digital variable light control with the digital curtain. That's all included. I would still like to see an opening and closing sunroof option if you guys don't want that glass roof that has the different curtains that are digital. But if you follow me over to the rear here, let's go ahead and talk about the rest of the driving impressions, because as you guys saw, the A6 was able to do 0 to 60 in around 4.4 seconds. This model took 3.7 seconds. Honestly, 4.4 is fast enough for most people. I did appreciate the extra power that the S6 gives you. I also appreciate how this car just feels a little bit more engaging, from the way the steering wheel feels in your hands to the directness and the quickness of the suspension, the reflexes. The ride quality on both models was also good. And at least from just my initial testing, it appears that the range estimates were the same. So I'll have to wait until I get one back home where we can do official range testing. I'll also try to get a hold of a rear-wheel drive Ultra trim, which can go up to nearly 400 miles of range, to see how close we can get to that in the actual real world. But overall, if you guys are interested in this new model, I have to say Audi has definitely done a good job here, because when you look at the competitive set, remember, this car is a mid-size executive all-electric luxury sedan. So you can compare it to vehicles like the BMW i5, the Mercedes-Benz EQE, then there's also the Tesla Model S, the Lucid Air, for example. There are a lot of vehicles in the competitive set, but I think Audi has done a really great job here with this car, because they've essentially given you the practicality that you want from an SUV, but they've also combined it with the handling dynamics and the more, sexier sedan shape, although sexier is relative. This car looks amazing, gorgeous from this angle here, but I personally think it looks a little bit odd from the front fascia. I really wish Audi would have just given this car the same front end that you find on the gas-powered A6, the redesigned model. But if you guys are interested to get this car, they are already at dealership showrooms as we speak, and Audi says the base price for an A6 e-tron with rear-wheel drive with the big battery pack starts at around $65,900. $65,900 is actually a lot less than I expected it to be. It's around $8,000 more expensive, or I'm sorry, $7,000 more expensive than the current A6, of course. But that price will change whenever the new generation comes out. Add $2,000 if you guys want quattro all-wheel drive. So that's not really that much more. Now, of course, the S6 is going to cost a lot more. The A6 that we drove earlier was around $77,000. The S6 starts at around $78,000. So basically, where an A6 tops out, an S6 is going to start. Add the Prestige package on this particular model here, which is an extra $6,000 with the destination charge and the color upcharge. You're looking at a grand total of $88,390. I know, almost $90,000 definitely sounds like a lot of money, but remember, if you guys are looking at the current generation Audi S7, it's gonna easily start in the $85,000 range, go well into the mid $90,000 range. A BMW i5 M60 is around $98,000, comparably equipped. A Mercedes Benz EQE 500 is also going to be closer to $100,000. So there's a lot of value baked into this car. So if you look at it from that angle, it's also cheaper than the Tesla and the Lucid. Audi is definitely offering a lot here in terms of best-in-class standard range, best-in-class standard power, and a price tag that undercuts a lot of its rivals. So with all that said, I do think that Audi's done a great job with this vehicle. I'll be looking forward to seeing if they eventually introduce an RS6 version, but for now, this is probably the one that I would go for personally because it just has that perfect balance between speed and luxury. But with all that said, I hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the brand new 2025 Audi A6 and S6 e-tron. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews. Like us on Facebook. And as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.